This week's crossover Thursday episode of Locked On Cowboys, Locked On Commanders is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the app, use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 ticket. Marcus Mosher of Locked On Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys visiting the Washington Commanders. First time these two divisional rivals will play. It is one of the great rivalries in sports history, certainly in NFL history. I think it was ranked by Bucky Brooks of NFL.com as the third best NFL rivalry today. Unfortunately, in most recent times, one of these two teams has been down pretty bad, and that certainly takes a little bit of the shine off of the rivalry. I think, as much as Commanders fans don't appreciate losing to the Philadelphia Eagles, I think you appreciate the fact that both teams came in with a whole lot of excitement and confidence in that game. You'd love to see the Cowboys and Commanders both doing that. Maybe next year. Marcus, if the Cowboys are going to pull off this upset, it's now to 10.5 points, like we just said. The spread is massive. What do you think, or what do the Cowboys have to do in order to get that win?
So on offense, they have to be able to run the ball. Last week, Cooper Rush dropped back to throw the ball, I believe 56 times against Houston. And I know the final score was 34-10, but that was a really close game going into the last couple of minutes of the third quarter. The Cowboys had a chance to cut it to 3 going into the fourth quarter. They need to be able to run the ball in this game. And I don't want to see it out of shotgun. They did not have a single run last week from under center. You're going to have to do it in this game because you can't expose your backup quarterback that much. On defense, I actually have more faith in their defense than their offense at this point. You should be getting back Jordan Lewis. We'll see about Deron Bland. It sounds like he could be getting back. Marshawn Nealon has a chance to play this week. You're starting to get some of the pieces back on that side of the ball. You have to figure out a way to contain Jaden Daniels, keep him in the pocket, make him beat you from the pocket. He will do that, but that's much better than him taking off with his legs because the Cowboys can't stop the run. And then the big X factor here, special teams. This is where the Cowboys can win games. Kevontae Turpin, probably the best returner in the league. Brandon Aubrey, probably the best kicker in the league. Once you get past the 50-yard line, you are in field goal range. Make plays on special teams. Give the Cowboys or give your offense short fields and just try to keep this game close into the fourth quarter. That's how they can potentially steal a game from the Washington Commanders in Week 12.
Yeah, man. I'm with you on that special teams thing, especially. A couple of weeks ago against Pittsburgh Steelers, talk about mistakes. Olamide Zaccheaus muffing 2 punts, was able to fall on one. Unfortunately, the Steelers were able to fall on the other one, and I'm not going to say who, but I watched a punt returner for the Commanders muff a punt in practice today. So certainly don't want to see that kind of stuff continue. And then, Turpin, if you're a special teams coordinator and you're not terrified of this dude, anytime you have to face him, then you're not going to do your job very well. So certainly some big things there. My question for you, Marcus, is actually Nealon. So Nealon is someone that I was really excited about coming into the draft process. Didn't know, how much the Commanders would prioritize that position, especially after all the free agent acquisitions they made in the offseason. But let me ask you, going, pre-injury, all that stuff, like how was he coming along? And then what do you really like? How good can you expect him to possibly be coming back from that injury?
So I think it was frustrating because the game the Cowboys lost DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons was against the Giants in Week 4. They played Pittsburgh in Week 5, and this was Marshawn Nealon's first start. He was going to play almost every snap, and he got hurt on the second snap of the game. And it was such a bummer because he was starting to show that power where he could drive offensive linemen back off the ball. And that's what they've desperately needed on this defensive line. We'll see what he looks like coming back from a lower body injury, his first game, if he's able to play this week. But I think long-term, he is a guy that does make sense opposite of Micah Parsons in this defense.
Yeah, could be a pairing that look, the Washington Commanders offensive line I think has been better than a lot of people expected, but there's still going to be an off-season conversation about upgrading at least a couple of those positions on the offensive line and looking at what the Cowboys have brewing behind this rough season in their pass rush. They're going to need it for the Washington Commanders to win this game. I'm going to throw out kind of the obvious one here in the second one, but the first one's got to be move Terry McLaurin. And Marcus, I've actually got a question for you coming up here about that one. It'll be interesting to see what you say on it. Number 2, sack the crap out of Cooper Rush. You just have to do it, right? Especially if these offensive linemen can't get healthy. This is a game where you got to keep an eye on that Dallas Cowboys injury report, because who does and doesn't play is going to be really important. And don't give up any free chicken, right? We talk about those explosive passes to CeeDee Lamb. Rico Dowdle is a guy that That pass play out of shotgun from the 21-yard line going in is the exact same pass play they used against the Arizona Cardinals.
Mhm.
Saw it one time on tape. Told my listeners, if the Cowboys get to the 21-yard line, watch out for this play. It's the exact same play they pulled off, and I can't believe they pulled it off. Don't give up any free chicken, anything that you can easily scout against. And then third, time of possession, man. Ground the game. Brian Robinson is off the injury report. Austin Eckler can certainly be effective. Jeremy McNichols has had his moments. Hell, keep all 4 running backs active, and Chris Rodriguez Jr. can do some pounding up between the guards and tackles. He'll probably be inactive. But the bottom line is the Washington Commanders are 1-4 in games where they lost the time of possession battle. They're undefeated in games where they won the time of possession battle. And some of that goes hand in hand. You win the game, you run the clock, you ground it, got it. But there's also some things in there that are just indicative of how this team wins best. And it's by controlling that ground game. So that's why we talk about running the game. Marcus, I'll let you ask me any clarifying questions, but I want to ask you this one first. Of the NFL receivers, we got to qualify everything, right? Of NFL receivers who have more targets this season than Terry McLaurin, there are 10 of them. DJ Moore has the second highest percentage of single alignment. Split wide left 59% of the time for the Chicago Bears. That is the second highest single position alignment of any receiver in the NFL that has more targets than Terry McLaurin does this season. Terry McLaurin is number 1. What do you think Terry McLaurin's percentages compared to DJ Moore's?
Oh, man. Is it not close? Tell me.
It's not close.
Just had to get it in there, right? Listen, Terry McLaurin's a really good player. I know I maybe didn't love him early on in his career, but listen, I was wrong with Terry McLaurin. He's awesome. He's way better than I ever thought he could be as a prospect. Way better.
76%, Marcus.
Ridiculous.
Of Terry McLaurin's routes have come from split wide left alignment.
It's ridiculous.
And look, this is the conversation we had preseason about Cliff Kingsbury because every Cardinals fan was like, he locked DeAndre Hopkins in split wide left jail. He's going to lock Terry McLaurin in the same prison. It is obviously something that has happened all season long. But just like a lot of things, it's not a problem until it's a problem. It became a problem against Philadelphia Eagles. And that's what kind of spurred the research and the questions. Ask Dan Quinn, not directly because you don't do that, but I essentially asked Dan Quinn about that, and he essentially said it's probably going to change. But that is a ridiculous number. So I just had to share that with everybody.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because Trayvon Diggs has played much better. He's usually lined up on that side. Against Nico Collins last week, I believe there was 20 routes where they were matched up against each other. Diggs allowed 1 catch for 11 yards in that entire game. And this has been, at least historically, a matchup that Trayvon Diggs has done well. Now, again, he's coming off a torn ACL. I'm not sure he's the same type of player, but that is a battle where if the Cowboys can win that one, and you're not going to take Terry McLaurin completely out of the game, but limit him, maybe you have a chance to survive on that side of the ball.
Yeah. The Eagles didn't take Terry completely out of the game either. 1 catch for 10 yards, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I mean, that's not
he was certainly in the game. But yeah, if there's anybody who knows what Trayvon Diggs can do against Terry McLaurin, it's Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. So hopefully somebody over there is talking to Cliff Kingsbury and say, hey, dude, we got to get off that number. We got to get off that percentage. Let's at least lower it a couple 20% or so in this next game.